I'm Mary. I come from Magdala, a town that's not far from here. I don't want to disturb those who are trying to listen. I'll be glad to tell you what I know about what's going on over here. Okay, so the rabbi inside, he's the son of a tradesman from Nazareth. He has no credentials or status. He's got no army, no nobility, no wealth. He travels from village to village with a dozen of his friends, plus a substantial number of supportive women, teaching deep truths to the peasants of Galilee. Look around us. We are poor. Many of us are unemployed. See how many of us are disabled? And how many, like me, are women? Few of us can afford an education, but to be uneducated, it's not the same thing as being stupid. Stupid people can't survive in times like these. So we're hungry to learn. And wherever this rabbi goes, it's like a free school for everyone. Do you see why we love him? Why we clamor outside the door to hear what he has to say? Starting a new religion? I think Rabbi Jesus is doing something far more dangerous than starting a new religion. He says he's announcing a new kingdom. A rebel? I don't know exactly if I would say he's a rebel. You see, his kingdom's not like the regiments of the world that take up daggers and swords and spears. He heals the sick. He teaches the unschooled, and he inspires the downtrodden with hope. For me, he healed me from demons. According to Rabbi Jesus, you cannot point to this land or that region and say, this is the kingdom of God, because it exists in us, among us. It doesn't come crashing in like an army. It grows slowly, quietly, under the surface, like the roots of a tree, like yeast in dough or seeds in soil. Our faith waters the seeds and makes it grow. Do you see this? When people trust it is true, they act upon it, and it becomes true. Our faith unlocks its potential. Our faith makes it real. You can see why this message is unlike anything people around here have ever heard before. I wonder if you, with your questions about what's going on over here, where are you from? You aren't spies from Jerusalem, are you? Looking for a reason to arrest the rabbi? That's a real threat right now for those of us who have been looking towards him and listening to him. Me? One of his disciples. Not yet. But I'm considering it. You see, it's something that has to be considered. Most of my friends in Magdala are just trying to survive. Some of them are indeed dreaming about a holy war against Rome and their puppets in Jerusalem, of course. Even our little boys are sharpening their knives and talking of war, but I think that's foolish. And it breaks my heart. My father was killed in the rebellion in Sepphoris, so I know there must be another way, another kind of uprising, an uprising of peace. If Rabbi Jesus can lead that kind of uprising, I will gladly join. Strong faith. Do I ever have doubts? Sometimes I think his message is the crazy dream of poets and artists, the fantasy of children at play, or men who are old and drink too much. But then I ask, what other message could possibly change the world? Perhaps what is truly crazy is what we're doing instead, thinking that a little more hate can conquer hate, or a little more war can cure war, or a little more pride can overcome pride, or a little more revenge can end revenge, a little more gold can cure greed, or a little more division can create cohesion. What about you? Are you beginning to believe in him? Do you trust him? That question has a peculiar power, doesn't it? Do you trust him? It's not the same as do you believe he existed or do you believe certain doctrines about him? It's a question about commitment, about confidence. That's why it's something to consider. The costs becoming one of his disciples. For Jesus, the call to trust him is closely linked to the call to follow him. Literally, go behind him. If we truly trust him, we'll follow him on the road, imitate him, learn from his example, live by his ways. Because his message was and is so radical on so many levels, believing and following can't be treated lightly. They're costly. They require us to rethink everything, to change the course of our lives. Maybe you believe he's misguided and only misleading others. That's what the religious scholars from Jerusalem think. No, I can tell your heart is drawing towards him. Maybe the beginnings of trust in him. So we must go back and listen to what he has to say. It appears at the house there's been some kind of commotion on the roof. The crowd's buzzing about a paralyzed man being healed. Well, often when he heals someone, he says, "Your faith has healed you." So there it is again. With him, faith is where it all begins. When you believe, you make it real. You change this, and you change all of this. So no, I don't believe he's a rebel, nor would I say that this movement is a revolution. I would again call it an uprising of learning and hope. We hear Jesus' words like a summons, a challenge, a life-changing invitation. And now we have to ask ourselves, Mary, do we dare step out and follow Jesus? Do we take the journey on an unmarked path? Do we dare to make a road ahead by walking and using our own feet? Do we have the courage and faith to risk everything on this uprising of peace, an uprising of generosity, an uprising of forgiveness, an uprising of love? If we believe, we can rise up, and we will make it real. He's on the move again. And I can't deny him any longer. I'm going to follow. Are you coming too?